All right. Good morning, peoples. We got about 45 minutes till the market opens, and I am back. I waited for the completion to get Misty and Winter. So, what I want to do here for you guys is include Winter. I think it's just an interesting thing because I talk about it as a counter. Not all the inverses paired are that much of a balance or hedge. But with MSTR, it may be getting less so, but the premiums have been so high, so outrageous, buying puts is out of the question um, for a hedge. So when I really examine winter, it seemed like a pretty reasonable hedge. I mean, you do get paid on both, and neither are going to perform perfectly. They're better when they're just bouncing around, up 5%, down 5%. The outside moves, the one that's bull and it's a bullish outside move, it's only going to capture about 35, 40% of the upside. And the other guy is going to lose and not capture that either. So they're not perfect, but from what I've been able to back test and do everything, it is a functional hedge to a big degree. That's not the issue right now. We've been pretty flat. So let's jump in. I've got a complete summary that you guys are used to seeing, but I also like for you to see this kind of activity. This green highlighted indicates a dividend was paid. Okay, I've got that data out to the side, and that data is all summed up here. But let's just look at some activity. So winter declared today, and Misty declared today. So I've added in what they'll be paid on 7/7, just like I do with anything else when I run these funds. So I thought it's only fair, especially in your monthly guys, for them to miss one and be one day away. It's not really fair. The weeklies are constantly doing a weekly. So that's what I've got. So the reason I have winter in there is just for you guys to see it performing as an inverse or not and sort of evaluate that. So obviously MSTR acts as the underlying. So you have Misty a monthly, you have Bitwise also a monthly. It had that big $7 payment, right? But it's tamed down now. It came back in at $1 or something on his last payment. And again, this is a $50 stock. This is not a $20 stock. But I'll show you some other things that looks real good about them, okay, in all fairness. And then you have Rex, who's a weekly payer, but this is it, right? They've been around since June 4th. And then you have MST, which is kind of a NAV king, but NAV reduction king, but it does have leverage and it's paying pretty well. If it can overcome the NAV, right? On a weekly, you can usually make up some of that. And then you got winter as an inverse, right? Paid monthly. So you got you got monthlies here, monthly over here, and your two weeklies paired. Now, you know who's missing when we go over here? Roundhill is talking about one. They haven't started. They haven't launched it. Granite's talked and has it in its list. It hasn't started it, right? So Rex and Defiance with MST and with MSII, they're only, a June start and a May start. Um, but we're getting dividends paid on those guys. So we're going to come back to that. So let's jump in here. Let's look at a 5% up move. We went from 383 to 404 in MSTR, the underlying, right? What did Misty do? Well, Misty got 65% of that move, 3.55. Not bad. You got IMST, which talks about having higher leverage and then only selling half the calls and trying to assess if the stock is running and, to put additional leverage. So they really talk about this dynamic management. I'd love to see that, right? Almost like assessing, predicting the market. You see certain chart patterns, oh, it's breaking out, it's going to run. So we're going to write our calls out further than normal. I like that if Jeff Park and team can pull that off. And we'll see in the data. I mean, it's logical, but you have to show me, right? I'm not from Missouri, but my father was born in Missouri. That's a show me state, people. So you got to show me. Okay. So 383, 405 for MSII also uses leverage. And look at this, MST, 200% leverage through swaps. 7.9, not really showing 200%, but definitely beating nobody else is keeping up with the underlying. They are. So that's looking like 150, 160%. And then what did Winter do? Winter didn't go down the full 5%. So that's fair. All right. What else sticks out? Let's look at a 3% move. Oh, how about here? How about a 7% down move on July 1st, right? Minus 7.65, went from 404 back to there. Look at this. Misty went down 5.77. So you expect that. You have almost a 90 to 95% correlation. The only thing that keeps you whole is you're going to make money on your weekly calls that are sold. Whether you have spreads or not, you're going to make money on the weekly calls. Your synthetic is going to go down 100%, but you're going to make some weekly income. So maybe you're only 90, maybe you're 92, right, on the downside. So IMST with leverage, timing, only wrote half the calls, whatever, still down 6%. So you didn't perform any better in a big down day. Look at MSII, leverage. You're like 110, 120% of that. Okay. And look at MST. They just about showed their 200% on there. 200% would be 1530, so they're darn close. And so did you get 100% up move? No. 5/7, yeah, you got 80%, 75% of the up move. Not bad. Okay, so we verified that. Let's see other numbers that stand out. Let's see how this 4.71 day that we got in MSTR. Well, we got 75% of that. Well, not 75, 3/4. If this was 4 even, that would be 75. So it's more like 65. And then you got 70% here. Oh, look at this. You got 100% in MSII. Good job, MSII. And look at this. MST, you go. That's that's 185%. I'll take that all day long. This one only went down 65%. Look at this. This almost matches. This one went up 65% of the move. This one went down 65% of the move. Fair enough, guys. So I learn a lot when I get to see this level. So I'll continue to help you guys with that kind of data. Oh, something's wrong here. O4 and G4. Anyway, I'll fix that in time. What's my G4? Oh, I want the whole number. I don't want D4. Yeah, and I want H4, not G4. Or do I want F? I think I want. Oh, it's MSII. Yeah, I want F. Sorry, guys. Okay. So that's the yield on cost. All right, let's jump to this. This tells us a lot. So IBIT is kind of like what all the all of the BTCs use IBIT a lot as the underlying. IBIT's really tied to BTC. So when I've tried to do comparisons like Misty and MSTR to BTC, they're only about 60% correlated. So I just thought I'd throw it in here and see how it functions. Normally, I just do the one. Like if I'm doing Coinbase funds or I'm doing Tesla-based funds or MSTR, I put the underlying in to see how everybody did. But I thought I would just throw IBIT in here. So yes, I realize it's not exactly the same. Okay. So, and I roll back these launches. Remember how I was saying I like to try these? I could take this all the way back to the beginning of 2024 for most of this, except for winter. Winter didn't go that far back. But these guys are all newer, right? 4-3, 6-4, 5-2. So it doesn't behoove me to go so far back, but I did want to go another week or so. So I went here 327. So the two indexes and Misty and Winter, okay, are operating in a 327. Guys, that's only 1 week separated from my MST. Now, it's substantial. So here's your days count. So everybody up here, including the two indexes, Misty and Winter, all have 97 days, calendar days. Okay. IMST has 90 calendar days, and then you really drop down, right? So MST only has, is it MST? Yeah, MST only, or I take it back, MST has 61 days, and MSII only has 28 days. So those are where you get explosive moves one way or the other. And the 28 days when you annualize it really doesn't make sense. But I'm going to do it just for the sake of doing it. In this case, it didn't get blown out terribly. So we don't care so much about launch date. Actually, I can get pretty much everything on here. So we want to look at total return, and I'll explain to you as we go. Here's the current price. This is 7-1 close. Okay. So we're about to open on 7-2. This is 1 week prior. So 7-1 up here, 624. Everybody's pricing. So what was the weekly change in a percentage? Again, when I put a number, if one changed, this one would change, $15. And then the others would change 20 cents because it's such a big number. So, but when you percentage stack it, it's more relative. So MSTR had the biggest weekly change. Well, here's one, 2.82 on IMST. But nobody else moved that much. All right, so then change percentage. Or sorry, guys, this is actual numbers. Why is that? Wow, that's only 3.72. Okay, and then it's change percentage. On one of the other sheets I'm doing, I got rid of what the weekly change is. I just put the percentage, so I was thinking that's what I did. All right, gain or loss, guys. So how's it done? But the gain or loss is no longer on this short 1 week period. This gain or loss is tied to what did it launch at. So now we're talking 7-1 back to 327. So the first four are all paired even. What is their 327 price and what's their current price? Look at IBIT, up 21%, the BTC orientation. MSTR is up 15. Misty is down 7, and look at Winter. Winter is down almost 26%. So Winter has had NAV decay, but Winter has paid nicely. It's paid $7.65, but because its pricing is a lot higher, it's under yielded Misty. And remember, I got both their prices. I got the dollar 1.2382 in Misty in this, and I got the 1.855 in Winter, right? Those are out at the tail end over here, guys. All right, so let's move along. These are gains or losses, and then I'm going to annualize those gains or losses because over 97 days, a 21.04, when you get to 365 days, like 105%. Your MSTR is 69, and that's probably fair, right? I remember Michael Saylor saying MSTR is looking at a 65% annual increase. Well, kind of on that target. Misty, 7%, right? Over 97 days. We don't want to see that. but it's been kind of unusually flat. I think everybody, look at this divot, look at the yield though. Yield max is yielding max, right? 22.51. We had another 77% yield on the dollar 20 1.238 on a $20.86, I think, yield on cost. All right, winter, nice yield, right? If it wasn't, but look at the annualized. It starts to get ugly, guys, causing it to go negative. Causing it to go negative. So IBIT leads, MSTR leads. What do we say about the underlyings, right? Misty, not bad. And most of you don't think of this as being an outstanding year. So total return is still almost 60% projected. All right. And then winter's not bad if you were using it as a hedge here. You got paid a lot of money and you only lost 10%, but that's a net. That your NAV has gone down 67% annualized. So if that's insurance, that's cheap insurance. All right, IMST. Look at this big winner. Here, the issue, well, 90 days is close enough to these guys. Can't say it's not fair. So they got a 77%. Remember, they got that one big $7 payment, and then they dropped way down, $1.86. But remember, this is up like 40, 50 something dollars. So this is outstanding. This is just average. I mean, this is on a $20 stock. This is on a $50 stock. This is the tail end of June, and this is the beginning of July. So what else do we have to look at? MSII, how did they end up the way they ended up? All right. So they paid 44 cents on a fairly low 23.63. What's the 44 made up of? 2 or 3 payments? Yeah, I got the new 18.3 that just was announced, and then I got the 291 and the 14.5 cent. So that's given us like, 60 something cents. Oh, I didn't carry that over. Good observation, Bruce. It needs to go to Z. See how I catch things? Didn't take it positive, guys, but it's a little better. So the disto return for 28 days is 253. How does that get annualized? Well, it's almost 33, but still compared to Misty, Winter, IMST, who did it beat? Didn't beat anybody. So it's the lowest yielder out there. Now, it's got a small track record. So let's see what happens. The problem is this. I mean, the worst performers MST. I own a little MST just so I could see it, right? And I think I own it at $20. And it's always going back to 16 or 17. I'm collecting money along the way. I'll probably be ahead of the game at some point, but it's not showing to me that it can run. Now, where it will run is when Bitcoin takes off and MSTR takes off. Then with that 200 leverage, we should outperform most of the other funds. But again, that's, ideally you own something else, and then when you see the breakout, you move. Well, I own such a small amount of shares. I just bought it to experience it. I own more Misty money-wise. So there you have it. Total return is minus 40%, mainly because of this. This is the annualized number. What do you really have? Well, you really have a 6.41 dividend earnings, and you have a 22% gain or loss. And then when those two things get annualized and subtracted, that's where you're going. All right, guys, somebody asked for this, and then I did a little bit when I reported on the COII and the TSII and whatever the other one was last evening, right? NVII. And I gave you the comparisons. I knew I was going to do this one. I had done it 3 weeks ago. I was waiting for the newest update. So now you got it. Hit me up in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps. I'm pushing more content. I'm really trying to grow it. So tell your friends if you're getting value out of this. Okay, enough of my sales pitch there, guys. Again, Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Have a great day ahead. Bye for now.